Hey guys, this is Jolly Roger, and today I'm trying something a little new out. This is going to be a narrative campaign, which I'm sure you probably know. I'm going to be playing as Sparta. I want to give credit where credit is due, though. I know that's kind of like a broad thing. Narrative campaigns obviously aren't super specific, but I'm getting my style specifically from the Totally Devon channel on YouTube. He also does stuff on the Total War Network channel as well. I'll put a link to the Total War Network channel and Totally Devon channel in the description. His videos are probably way better than mine, but I just want to try this for fun. I definitely recommend checking him out, though. Well, this is just going to be a little bit of an intro part here. I hope you enjoy the rest of the video, and let's get started.
The people of Epirus are fools. Having utterly failed to conquer Rome, they crawl back and presume to conquer Greece. To try is not to win. They will know this when you meet them in battle. Macedon may join you, but they are no better in the end. Alexander's conquests have left them with delusions of grandeur. They will be checked, as will every other aggressor. You may fare better working with Athens and other true Greek states, but history has often taught otherwise. Ultimately, trust only in Sparta, and you will prevail.
Alright, so we're getting right on into this narrative Let's Play of Sparta. So we kind of need to assess our starting situation. We have a couple armies. We have one with some units, but we really want to see who our main guy is. So that army is with a guy that's from the other party. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to actually switch him out and give those units to the leader of our faction party. And then we'll disband him because we're not going to need him. We're going to want to save money. Our main faction leader is pretty old, though, so we want to pick up Nikon. He's our youngest faction leader, so he'll last the longest.
Ready for orders.
I just need to give him all the units moved over, and then I can start moving him out to kind of start checking out Greece.
Ready for orders.
I'm also going to upgrade the settlement and the food just to kind of get a little bit of a sustainable resource from Sparta to help me outlast the fights to come. And I'm going to recruit some units. I need to get a couple more spear units and some more range units, but I really also need to get a unit of cav. So it's really just going to boil down to like cost and skill. So between these two guys, I was unsure depending on like what I had as far as like price was concerned versus their skill level. And I also didn't know if I wanted to get archers or if I wanted to get more jabs. And so I'm going to get one more jab, and I get a couple of the cheap archers. But I'm only going to get what I can recruit in one turn so that I can move him again. And I also need to get my spy moving out so that I can see what Epirus is up to, because they're going to be the first person I'm going to go after. And I'll just start researching the military tech because I want to get the cost reduction on my units as soon as possible. Plus, I can also move my main faction leader out and put him on a stance to keep happiness at a little bit of a high, and it also reduces his upkeep, which is nice. In the between certain stage, Knossos actually offered us 500 as just a gift to keep us happy, so we took it. Now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to move Nikon, start moving him towards Epirus, but we also need to recruit more units before we get him out there, so we're going to stop right on the last bit of our border here and pick up a couple more guys. Probably going to go with an archer and get that skirmisher cav, because we're pretty good on swordsmen or spearmen right now. And we'll actually upgrade that food source now since we used the money from that to get those units last turn. We can see that Athens is actually already making a move towards Epirus' eastern city, but Epirus is moving kind of a smaller force down. Now, I didn't cut out this little end turn phase because it was quick, and it showed that Athens actually took the city, but then lost it right back, which is really interesting because Epirus was basically forced to overextend now, and I don't have to worry about another Athenian army trying to take up provinces that I'm going to need to capture eventually. So I can keep Athens happy, but I don't have to worry about it too much.
How may I serve you?
Ready for battle.
My skills.
So I'm gonna see what I can do here with Tiamandra, which is my spy here, and she basically failed at doing anything useful with this. I was trying to get her to help out to kind of draw a diversion here, but I eventually decide to send Nikon to split off that army because I figured he would retreat. If he didn't, he wasn't going to get help. And then I send Sparta to chase off both Epirosian armies and inevitably take the settlement for basically free. Now, I did actually fight this battle, but the replay didn't save, so I didn't have a video to show you guys. I just didn't like what the auto resolve was giving me. So now Nikon, on his first military victory, has taken the city of Epirus for himself. One of Epirus' cities for himself. But since the other Epirosian army actually reinforced, it was wiped out as well, killing off one of their generals and making Nikon's conqueror of Greece a little bit easier. He also does level up, given that it was his first real military experience and victory. Now, I do want to get a couple more guys now that I have this province and a little bit more money to afford it, but I can only recruit one at a time, so I get one more unit of Perioikoi Hoplite to kind of balance out any assault that might come. Counter-assault, that is. So basically, between turns, Athens gave me, or wanted military access. I gave it to him, and Epirus asked for a peace treaty, but of course I denied them. Now, I send Tiamandra up, and I noticed that their last army is actually trying to recruit guys right up here in the mountains. So I chase them down into the flat road. I can't quite pursue them all the way, but it puts my army in an interesting position. I also try to send Tiamandra and to poison the wells of the city to try and, you know, help me out with a little bit of that. But upon considering that I could possibly upgrade the settlement, I decided not to do it because I would use the money. The money would be best used otherwise. I was afraid that he was going to try and march that settlement right towards Sparta. So what I did was I brought my main faction leader, Arius, to the crossing here in an attempt to stop him if he does come through. And as you can see, an Athenian army has actually moved north of my recently captured city. But Macedon actually declared war on us right now. So it's something we have to worry about. And we actually lost the city to Macedon, which was another a bit kind of a crippling blow. Nikon had to play this next part of the Greek war very, very carefully due to the fact that he was cut off from the homeland and we had an Epirosian army between us and Sparta itself. So I pulled Ares back to kind of defend Sparta, and I decided that I'm going to send Nikon and his army towards the Epirus' main city to try and knock him out of the game. And I actually didn't like the auto-resolve it was giving us despite being clearly in the advantage here, and I decided to fight this one in person. Nikon's men began to form two flanks up here and right here. I also have my cavalry over here that are planned to be brought around this way. I almost put my javelin men a little too far ahead over here, but I pulled them back and allowed my spearmen to attempt to form a phalanx right here. He does an interesting thing here and actually sends his local archers into a charge on my spearmen, which I don't think he meant to do in the way that it actually worked. It actually prevented my units from creating a proper phalanx over here, and allowed him to get the upper hand for only a little bit on this side of the field. But given that Nikon is over here as well as three 3 pike or spear units, I pretty much controlled this, considering he has 2, a mob and a local archer that he put in a melee. He also charged me over here before I could form another one, but they ended up holding just enough to keep these guys distracted. He does keep 2 full units of local archers back here that he continually pummels these spear units with, and my spear throwers as I bring them back over this way. I finally start to bring my cav around to try and kill these 2 archers that came off of his 2 boats right here. He pulls one of his mob units out to help protect his archers the best that he can, as well as assist either side. As soon as he does that though, he decides to bring him back in and pull him back out again. I don't think he really knew what he wanted to do with these guys. He continues to do this for a little bit. As you can see here, the line is not formed very well. We have kind of like a zigzag type thing going on here with our 2 flanks. Plus this unit right here is actually getting attacked in like an angle that they're actually hitting me on the side, which gives him a pretty good advantage. Nikon is here to provide the morale support as well, and I do use his abilities when I can. Plus he is soaking in most of the archer fire from these 2 groups. But as I do, I am able to get my cav in here to kill one of them before he pulls these 2 mobs out to try to stop these guys. Now if my cav were better than just weak skirmisher cav, I would have left him to fight those guys, but given that they're just a weak skirmisher cav, I wanted to keep as many of them alive as possible so I could continue doing cycle charges on both of these flanks. Both these units pretty much go from yellow to green, all the way up until they shatter later in the fight. Nikon continues to take the fire. He actually hasn't suffered any casualties yet, but he inevitably will suffer a few, just to stray archer fire. I guess it's not stray, it's more direct, like he just lost 1 unit right there. I try to allow my jab throwers to help these guys as much as I can, but the best I can do is let this guy right here throw at the angle that he's kind of sneaking some guys out here. I am getting friendly fire going on here, but he's using way more units than I am. He did actually chase my units with one of his mob, which was perfectly enabled my skirmisher cav to get a charge on him and basically wipe them out without taking hardly any losses. Despite the fact that I'm kind of clumped right here and I didn't get a proper wall formed up, I am still holding as my spear units are better than his, but it just doesn't go as good as it could have gone. These archers back here are not really set up in a useful pattern, I guess. They are trying to shoot these guys that aren't doing much at all, and kind of start to shoot at these guys to try and pick off some of the guys in the back, and don't get very much done at all. His archers that he left back here are finally starting to take good losses on my, or deal decent losses against my javelin men back here, but I wanted them to take the losses as opposed to my spearmen, as my spearmen were having some morale issues up here fighting these guys as the battle goes on. I bring my cavalry around and kind of ignore this unit of archers here because I wanted to break this flank, or this side of the battle. So I give them a good charge in behind these guys. But all those, considering those are spear units and my cav are super weak against any kind of melee unit, I pulled them out as soon as I could. I did take some losses though, but inevitably put one of his spearmen into the yellow, or red, and then back into the yellow. They're pretty much weak now, so one more charge will inevitably cause them to rout. So I pulled them back just enough to make sure that I wasn't going to get chased by anything, and I bring them back in to do one more charge. I, however, decided to kill these archers really quick just to not have to worry about them anymore, and then I will bring them back around to flank these guys one last time. This flank here is still suffering issues, morale, and losses, just because they're constantly getting fire from these archers back here. His city guard commander guy unit is right here, and he's actually doing decently well, but he gets pretty worn out against all my guys here. They get really worn out too, but like I said, their job really wasn't to win this side, it was more to hold these guys in line and absorb the fire of the archers. So what he inevitably does is he brings this unit of militia from over here after I broke one of these guys with a charge, but I'm able to kind of like sneak these guys through here to start hammering this side with cycle charges now that there's only one unit here. I also decided to start bringing these spear throwers back over here this way to draw fire from the archers away from this front. Since I'm sitting my cav over there, I want to keep the losses to a minimum. And it'll give me kind of like a little bit of a combat edge there. And with that cycle charge, I'm actually able to break the mob completely and put his general into a wavering stance. I do take a decent amount of losses on my cav, and I am barely able to get them out without having them rout completely. I left these guys here to clump up battle against these guys when I really should have tried to like flank around them to kill them off completely, but given their superior numbers, they were able to just win the fight straight up. Well, superior numbers and superior units in overall. I bring Nikon up here so that as soon as we bring these guys, I can kind of crash down as well. He keeps these units here, and I kind of put these guys here to throw at him a little bit, just to see how many kills I can get on him. And because there is only one unit here, I'm able to kind of like circle around him a little bit, but he leaves this mob here, so I bring these two units here up to throw some spears at him. I kill a couple of them, but nothing super nice, and these guys were already pretty hurt from the archers, so I didn't want them to engage in melee, and I had to pull off one of my spear units here to deal with that mob, so I didn't take a full rear charge. Because even though they are mob, given that I am taking archer fire and fighting this guy in the back, they could have routed or taken sufficient losses, and I didn't want that to happen. So I bring my cavalry back in here and charge these guys into a melee attack. So I thought I could take these guys, lock him down, and lock this unit down with these guys. But he actually decides to bring his mob back at my cav instead of charging the sun like I thought he was going to. So I tried to have my general come back and take care of this mob, but he gets caught up on the corner here, and then given that he's a super heavy unit, he's not very fast anyway. So I pull my cav out as fast as I can because I didn't want them to rout or to take any more losses, just because it takes a decent amount of time for them to actually regen all their way. That puts my archers, or my spear throwers, in a really bad predicament, as they had already suffered decent losses and were already about half strength, and now they're up against two full archer units and a mob. I am bringing my general up to help them as much as I can, but both of my spear throwers will inevitably fall to these units before my general is able to get there to help. I also, for some reason, forgot to move these guys up to bring them and help, but Nikon will be able to take care of all of these units by himself without worrying about taking hardly any losses, if any losses at all, given that these are Royal Spartans, or a very heavy spear unit, incredibly powerful, and these units are all very weak in melee, especially in comparison. I also am able to break this line completely, and I bring them all around to kind of just like smash everybody into this one thing to finish the battle off. Nikon kind of leads his men here into a fight that he won't have to worry about losing, and the units all inevitably shatter, and we take the fight victory for ourselves. After coming off the victory here of Epirus and completely conquering their last city, we have an interesting advantage, but most of Nikon's army is actually incredibly hurt. So we are still stuck here without actually being able to move out until most of these units become rejuvenated.
We hunger for battle.
He also actually, the military, that army itself, upgraded, and we were able to get a couple little bonuses there. We had a little bit of an interesting pop-up here, an ill omen, and we decided that the best option would probably be to sacrifice a bull to keep the gods pleased. Ares and his decisions, will they hurt us or will they help us?
How can I be of assistance?
Nikon wonders as he
Treading softly.
plots his next move from the newly acquired settlement.
I cannot and will not.
Team Andrew was also ordered to scout the main city of Macedon to see what kind of forces they had brewing. So we also want to pick up a couple more units here, but again, the recruitment is only going to be one per turn. So we want to just get one unit of these good spear throwers. And now we really want to consider actually taking back this settlement.
Ready for orders.
And now that we've disassembled the barracks, since we're not actually going to be building anymore, we can get have more happiness buildings going on down there, as we are dealing with a bit of a public order issue in Sparta. So ill omen is resolved, luckily enough, and Macedon actually pushes an army into my territory with 2 really good cav and a bunch of pikemen. However, Nikon does notice that we have an incredibly large ranged advantage and the ability to hire some mercenaries.
My skills are yours. As you command.
We do also know that there was an Epirus army that we managed to lose sight of down here. So Team Andorra tries to see if she can sniff out where that Epirus army is hiding, to no avail.
Make haste, men.
Given the circumstances, we decided to send Ares north to defend the river crossing in case Epirus decided to try something sneaky. We ended up picking up one of the unit of swordsmen and one of the unit of cav and marching on the Macedonian army in the field. We will not take these lesser men in our lands. We will show them. We will rise up and we will conquer. Although the game doesn't understand how much conquering we need to do, so I had to show the game how much conquering we had to do. As Nikon and his men take the field, they can't help but notice the massive advantage the Macedonian scum have pushed on their little hill with their pikes. Nikon was able to form his men up in a new attacking angle, and we were able to push up onto the hill and give us the slight advantage upon them. We tried to assume a new formation, but he moved in on us, so we took the advantages we could. He also sent in his cavalry, and we were able to skirmish him a bit. But I didn't want to engage my mercenary cavalry on them just yet. Unfortunately, he caught me off guard, and I was forced to. So I allowed my units to just open fire on his men. And I diverted 1 unit of spears to keep them from flanking, completely destroying my ranged advantage. Luckily enough, my spears were able to collapse down on his heavy spear cav, and we were able to do as much damage as we could. While that was taking place, he was reforming a new pike line and sent his general unit in here, which opened him to a lot of fire, but he was able to hit my swordsman. But I sent Nikon and his elite spear units in to deal with them, because I knew that Nikon could hold his ground against those Macedonian cavalry that they on their high horses. We'll see who's the better fighter. Immediately takes many losses and pulls his units out. You can see here that he attempts to pull his units out as I managed to get my units out just in time. I tell my archers and skirmishers to pound their pikemen to weaken their lines as much as possible before I engage them. Nikon overextended himself into a couple pike units here, so I was forced to pull them back. But I decided to use my Agranian soul swords and just rush them in to take the fight to the pike phalanx. He charged his general in, so I decided to move Nikon up while his pike phalanx was out of position. We were able to wipe this unit out completely here. But he actually rallied and came back right over here after chasing down the rest of my unit. So I was forced to divert my spears in an attempt to keep him from completely getting the flank on me. So I sent the rest of my weak skirmisher cav around to chase off his archers. and diverted my attention of all my ranged units on his general in a desperate attempt to kill him and destroy the morale of his army. Unfortunately for him, he grouped his phalanx up in such a way that allowed my spears to get a side attack on them as well. Even though his cav are a very strong unit, the sheer number of my ranged units was able to completely annihilate him, thus bringing down his general and annihilating the morale of his army. My other spear unit was actually able to catch him out as well and keep him away from my ranged units and pull. So I was able to pull all of my ranged units around in an attempt to be able to fire at a side angle on his pike phalanx to help my general and the swordsman out as much as possible. I couldn't afford to lose Nikon. The future of Sparta lies with him. You can see that Nikon and his men bravely fight these pikemen despite the disadvantage that they face. Nikon actually gets side flanked right here from these group of units as well, but I decided to put my jav throwers into melee and send them into attack, as they do have decent melee, and the flank charge is enough to just damage their morale. So I had all of my archers target the side of these pikes, given that pikes have basically no rear armor, and the archers were able to devastate them. My horsemen had also just returned from chasing down their archers, and I was able to send them into a rear flank charge on their middle of their pike phalanx. But I decided that I didn't want to weaken them any if I didn't have to, and I would save them to chase his units off the field. A mass rout then ensues in his left flank, and the last bit of his army begins to break as I surround it almost completely in the middle. With his left flank broken, Nikon is able to remove the last unit from the field and begin to smash the last bits of this pathetic Macedonian army. As his units shatter, we begin to kill as many of them as we possibly can before they escape. As we watch the fearful Macedonians flee from the mighty Spartan spear and shield, we know that they understand what is coming to them, and that this is not an isolated incident, and Macedon will soon feel the wrath of Sparta. So we were able to pretty much destroy this Macedonian army with taking very little casualties, which is pretty good. He does, however, flee into the mountains. We do have enough range to be able to actually chase them down if we want to. But first, I need to get rid of those mercenaries, because those are expenses I don't want to have to worry about. I'm considering bringing up the other general areas up here to help hold this city, so I can bring the other army across, or the main army across. But I'm not sure yet, so I'm just going to take out this Macedonian army for now. We'll just auto-resolve it, because chances of winning were pretty high. There was no need to fight another one. It was only one unit anyway. And I thought about enslaving them, and I really just decided to release the captives, because I know a Macedonian had some allies, and I didn't want to have to worry about that. I'm also going to move my spy up to kind of keep an eye on Macedon to see what they're going to try and send towards me, and I'll upgrade her a little bit as well. I'm not super worried about this navy here, but I don't want to have to worry about it any more than I need to. So I'm thinking about raising another general. See if there's somebody that maybe has some public order or things that would actually just help with having him alone sit in the city. And there's really good other party general I might do, but I don't really want to have another other party general just yet. So I'm gonna go ahead and just reinstate the legacy of my old army, just with some base units. Don't want to have anything too expensive. I'll just put him in the city. I know that'll hurt the morale of the overall morale of the city, but I don't want to lose it to that Apollonian fleet. So yeah, we do want to take that city. I'm going to upgrade my army right now, and then I'm going to have to intern, and we're going to have to take that city next time. All right. So we had some nice little instances there. We see that Sicily's in turmoil. We got Carthage and Syracuse kind of doing their thing down there. I'm going to bring this army back down here and kind of like just put them on a patrol area, keep the area a little bit happy. He did actually upgrade as well, so I'm going to turn this guy into kind of like a bureaucratic kind of guy to can provide happiness and things like that, because I don't plan on using him for combat at all. Question is, which ones will best suit the current situation? See that he's got some different options for like a companion as well, but I'm not going to mess with that. It's the one he had is good enough. But now that I notice I do have some extra ones, I kind of want to check and see what Nikon has. And I'm actually going to change it because there's one that would suit him way better. Alright, now we got up here. The balance bar kind of had a really interesting twist, given that it said that we were so like low on our odds of winning, when I felt that we actually outnumbered them very highly, especially since he was probably going to sally out, and if he didn't, I would be able to split his army in half. I had way more melee units, and he did better ones too. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and fight this battle right now. I attempted to create a double flank here with my archers in the middle, hoping he would try to bring some units down and I could kind of pinch her down on either side of them. That didn't really work out though. As you can see, my ranged units started taking heavy archer fire, and he actually decides to rush down his Greek armed infantry, which are basically just like armed civilians. I do, however, send this unit of cav around, the skirmisher cav, to flank his archers once that opens up, but he does have some melee units still sitting up there. I thought my spearmen would be able to get in to position faster than he would charge down, but I was wrong. He actually was able to rush, and I tried to skirmish my cavalry or my ranged units back. Didn't really work out too well, as he sent 3 down at me and inevitably caught one of them. I did, however, bring my left spearman up and engage one of his spearmen. He also sends his general around to engage them. But he got way more citizens down into these ranged units than I wanted to. So I kind of had one unit of spears actually sit on the side and able to throw. They didn't engage them. So I was able to completely destroy that one unit. But this other one was still engaged. So I brought Nikon crashing down into the side to help him out. As you can see here, Nikon and these royal Spartans make quick work of the basically plebs with knives. And this other unit, being very indecisive, decides to chase one and then the other and gets slaughtered by him. So we kind of have a lockdown right here on his general, one of his spear units, which is nice. I only have him engaged on one. I will inevitably flank them, but I wanted to kind of resolve other situations first. I also have his 2 other spear units locked down with my 3 spears up there, but I'm waiting for Nikon to kind of wrap this up so I can start bringing my ranged units up to help. Once they realize that there's no hope for them, they begin to flee, inevitably. I start to bring my archers up to help these guys here, kind of firing into the side where I can. And I also decide I want to bring my cavalry in, but I also didn't see this unit of plebs here. So I kind of like pulled off, let them throw one barrage, and kind of kept bringing them around here to try and hit their ranged units. And I also over here brought my spear units around and had them crash into the double flank of these spear and general unit of his. With this kind of suppression, as well as a few random archer arrows, their morale will surely not hold long. Although I probably should have not let the archers shoot, as they were also shooting my own men. I also kind of flanked that one unit of spears on the right and was able to get my cavalry in to essentially eviscerate them. They did that one unit of archers still shooting at Nikon, so I brought spear units around to start throwing spears at them, and you can see right here how a lot of these guys just start taking spears to the head, and they don't last very long. They're taking spears from 2 sides here, and without any shield or anything to block them and their continued archer fire, they will basically get destroyed very, very quickly. His general unit and unit of citizen hoplites don't last very long, especially considering they're surrounded on all flanks. This unit here has a little bit of a hill advantage on me, despite being attacked on 2 sides. And this unit here is just kind of like a straight up fight, but my Perioikoi hoplites are better. And I wrapped up this last unit of plebs here, and I did have a unit of spears behind. We killed that last unit of archers, so we don't have to worry about them anymore. I'm going to bring the cavalry around to try and get a flanking maneuver on this unit of spears that are kind of in like a wedge formation type thing. You can see, even though they're light cav, they absolutely just wreck that unit of spears. And I pull them right out again because I don't want them to get attacked. And they actually tried to engage my cav, which gave the flanking, like the rear, to my 2 spears, and they were destroyed instantly. And as soon as they broke, that other unit broke, as well as their general unit and that spear unit that was surrounded on all sides. And with that, the battle was concluded. We had victory. With that victory over Macedon, we have some few minor things we kind of have to sort out here. Nothing too big, just kind of get my army situated, get them rejuvenated, recruit some more units, and prepare for the war against Macedon. I will have some public order issues I have to deal with, given that I wanted to leave this army in here, Nikon with his men, to rejuvenate as quickly as possible for fear of a Macedonian counterattack. I don't know if that's going to come soon or at all, so we just want to be prepared for it either way. I'm going to get another unit of Peltas and Cav here, I think, or maybe Spears. I think I have enough Spears. I think I'd rather have a unit of Cav. Just to have 2 flanking and 2 potential other range units to help would be really, really nice. And I can only recruit 2 units, so that's all I'm going to go with for now. I will probably bring up Ares to have him patrol the region to help with that. I'm still dealing with the last Apollonian navy over there, kind of raiding, still being kind of a public order nuisance, and a little bit of hitting my income, but not too bad. Sparta's still alright here. Gonna bring Ares around just like I said, have him patrol the region, and as for now, this will wrap it up. We'll see how Macedon handles the mighty wrath of Sparta next time.